there anything better than a trip getting ready?
Nope.
For a long journey where our podcast released a new epi, searching for a fade fiend, new fixation. Giving this a subscribe is the same sensation. Started with the day ones, they gave us fuel to support the season. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here for a reason. Notification bells, text with friends, all to let you know. Check your Bluetooth, connect, talk your wisdom out.
Welcome in, everyone. Season 2, episode 13. Are you from Poland? With our guest, Brass Ovaries. A little delayed there. Did you catch it?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, I would judge an international pole convention in Poland. They have some really fantastic athletes from there.
That would be the most perfect place for that worldwide competition to be. I mean, if Poland doesn't have it, they should get it, keep it, and never let it go. It works so good. And when you go back to see this episode, everyone else has already seen it. I did spell it PoleLand, PoleLand. So some people may have already read the description, but I want to get right into it. So Natasha Bajic, did I pronounce that right? Bajic?
Oh, almost. Bajic.
Oh, so it's kind of all right. Bajic. Okay. I got it. So let's start with this.
Yes.
I'm going to say that's Serbian, Croatian, Balkan. Where does that last name come from?
Oh, that's a Bosnian last name. So yeah, from that particular region. So
so I was close. I was a little curious there how close I was, and it was a pretty good guess. Have you ever visited the region?
Working on a NATO base.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was cold.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm not built for like winter situations, but the food is amazing. The countryside is amazing. It's beautiful.
So where did you grow up? I'm going to say it probably isn't a cold weather location.
No, my dad was Marine Corps all of my life, so we always moved like 2 to 3 years, so kind of all over the place. And then myself, I joined the Army and then moved around a lot for that. So actually, it wasn't until I started my business, Brass Ovaries, that I ended up staying in one place for any extended amount of time.
Growing up, did you ever live in San Diego? That's Camp Pendleton?
No, El Toro in Long Beach, California.
Oh.
Yeah, that's where I was born there. Yeah. I believe they closed the El Toro base a while ago, so maybe it's still a training center, I don't know, restaurant, house, cost living facility.
Here's their thinking. Hey guys, we made Natasha here. Let's shut it down. We can't do any better. Let's shut it down. That's cool. I've heard of it, never really been there. I assume most Marines go through Camp Pendleton. That's why I started there. I used to live out in California for a while. Can't name too many places outside of Camp Lejeune. Did you get a hard time from your dad when you told him you were going to do Army since he was a Marine?
No, I had originally thought I was going to go to Marine Corps, but my dad was like, you won't be able to pick your job. They're just going to stick you wherever they need you. And I'm like, oh, no, that doesn't sound delightful. So at least the Army gives you like 3 career choices.
Yeah.
You know, I got my first choice, so I was happy with that. But I can't imagine just being assigned wherever they need me, because I'm like, oh my God, that would be the kitchen or typewriter business, something I don't want to be doing.
Yeah. When you were thinking of your choices, Did you care about the choices of the job? Did you also start thinking about where you'd like to go? Because you've lived a lot of different places. What was the number one place you wanted to go to be stationed at?
Um, well, I think like going to Bosnia was part of it because like growing up during the 80s, it was like the Red Dawn era, and like the Soviet Union's our enemy, but so it intrigued me so much that I always wanted to go to the former Yugoslavia.
Yeah.
But by the time I'm hitting high school, it was breaking up. So I thought my chances were not as likely, but surprise, I could go being double deployed, like one tour after another, staying there. But I'm glad I got to have that experience. I'm glad that like I got to meet like some really great people and see what a humanitarian mission was like. But had to carry weapons all day long, so that part sucked.
Yeah. What did anybody try to talk you out of joining the military? Nowadays there are people that have family or someone they know in the military. It's down to single digits. For people born in the 70s, 80s, 90s, their whole lives, it was 25 to 40%. And now it's down to single digits. So back then when you did it, did anybody try to talk you out of it?
Oh yeah, because I was joining during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So even though the atmosphere is supposed to be safer for queer people,
Yeah.
it still wasn't. Like you could get dishonorably discharged at any moment. So it was 6 years of complete anxiety, just because
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to pay for college. I would like to get some benefits. My college counselor didn't tell me about Pell Grants or loans I could have taken. So at the
Yeah.
time, it seemed like a logical choice to pay for college. Now that I'm out, yeah, I'm glad I did it. But the whole 6 years I was in, I was like, could not wait until my ATS are like ready to get out.
Yeah.
People say,
Yeah.
want to go, definitely persuade them to think about other things like, I don't know, the Peace Corps. Something that can also like pay off like your bills, but like not put you in that situation where you're more than likely going to get PTSD. You're around toxic chemicals that they're just now like even bringing up or treating. So I'm like, is it worth it? I don't know. I think there's other ways that you could achieve some of those things.
No, it's to your point. See, we're in the internet age now. Everyone's got that supercomputer smartphone in their pocket. Information is so much more readily available. You can hear from you could get the word of 40 vets right now if you just do a search. Back then, it's someone and how are they representing it? I think to your point, now that people can get more information, I think it could help them. A lot of people just didn't know. And now they can find out that there are other ways. Where did you want to go to school at? Where were you heading? What caught your eye?
I wanted to go to the University of Texas at Austin. I came to visit my sister, and the whole city smelled like pot and patchouli. I was like, this is amazing. The movie Dazed and Confused, so like the whole Austin area was like, so I ended up transferring to the University of Texas and was accepted, and then was able to do that while I was in the military. But it's tough because sometimes I'd be in the field for like 30 days, but then like they'd let me leave once a day to go to class, and it'd stink and have like my nasty BDUs I've been wearing for 30 days. But yeah, ended up graduating from there, and I just got accepted into, like, I'm a 100% disabled vet, but I just got accepted into their re-education program. So now I'll be doing grad school in the spring for forensic science at Arizona State University.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I never heard about the re-education. How'd you find out about that?
Oh, thank God the internet and Reddit. Just like getting on all these like message boards and finding out like, okay, now that you got 100, or even how to like claim your disabilities. Because when I got out of the military, they just wanted us to sign paperwork as fast as possible, turn everything in, get the hell out. So it
Yeah.
wasn't until 6 years after I got out of the military that I was like, wait a minute, I'm a veteran. I have benefits of some sort. So just started my long journey from there. And yeah, still to this day, it's almost like a part-time job, managing and looking for programs that have available to you, because like your providers may not know anything about it.
Yeah.
So really got to advocate for yourself.
I'm so curious if this was something that you would have thought, like when you look back in high school, would you have said to yourself, yeah, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and we're going to talk about some pole fitness? Did you think that was something you've always had your mind on, or it developed later?
That developed later. I think like in that young of age, like I was more in the survival mode, because like I definitely grew up in a house that was very like abusive and made it very challenging. So I felt like when I was that young, I was just like, how am I going to survive the day? So it probably wasn't until later that like I met other people that had their own businesses, and you know, just kind of the universe putting me in the right place at the right time. But because I learned about the sport of pole dancing from the Yellow Rose, working there, like waited tables there for a while, and we had like a world famous pole dancer, Mercy Killings, and she would come out twice a night to do like this fabulous show on the main stage. And I was just like, oh, looks amazing. I want to try that, minus the pirate patch and the high heels. Like, cause you know, I used to be a rock climber. I've done a lot of things with my body, like in the military wise, but I started taking private lessons from her, and it just got super addicting. And then realizing that, you know, everybody's a natural polar. Like you just look on the playground and the little kids are having a good time. They're just not paying for college with it. But you got atypical padding, you have the startle reflex. It kind of like reawakens like primal neural pathways, because like we're playing, we're getting it in that, like, you know, our Australopithecine like did way before we. But so it just got super addicting. But at the same time, I was finishing up like my school at degree at like University of Texas, and I was working in a neuroscience lab with ultrasonic sound that rats make, and using that as a model for Parkinson's. And it was like, man, I'm either going to go this PhD track and it's going to take 100% of my time, or let me see what this pole business does. Because I'd been polling for 3 years, and I started having so many people ask me to like teach them lessons. And I knew that was also going to take 100% of my time. So I was like, cool, I can always do neuroscience until I'm 90. I mean, like polling, maybe not. But right now, the one person that has the title of 14 years in a row of winning masters is this wonderful lady out of like San Diego area, but she's like 73 and like rocking it.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, maybe I could have finished my PhD and then slid into the pole world. But at the moment, that's what I chose. So here I am 17 years later with my business, but I've been polling for 20 years.
Oh, okay. I mean, you're talking about people in the 70s. There's a young lady who's 75, about to turn 76, that I've had on, known as the Jiu-Jitsu grandma.
Oh, and, nice.
My gosh, she's a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She just had a fight over in Vegas for the world competition. Just incredible. It makes all of us, kind of like you said, think when I want to complain that I'm insert age here, that my back hurts or I don't feel like doing this, you find out about somebody like that and it just sways you. I mean, you just want to shut up. You don't even want to be heard from again. I'd like to start with a little bit of I know that there are people obviously that are interested. But what do you say to people that would never even have considered this? How do you not only attract them, but also keep them? Because I also think this is probably a high degree of difficulty. How do you pull that
Yeah, a
off?
lot of people, well, when they're brand new, like they're afraid they're going to come to the class and like, people are already experts. And I mean, I get that. I went to a hula class that I believe that was a beginner, but when I got there, I was like, this is highly skilled material that they're busting out. I was like, this is definitely an intermediate class. So the good first we start by like making sure that our instructors kind of reflect like a wide variety of people, because it's not just going to be in this class like a teeny tiny gymnast type body, somebody young and fit. You're going to have people that are older, you're going to have some that are younger, some people that like are getting out of really bad relationships and just wanting to reconnect with their own body. Some people are
Mhm.
bored of their gym membership and want to try something new. And with pole, like there's different aspects of it. And my old roommate, who's like a world famous poler, is like Pantera Blacksmith, she would say, same pole, different swing. So you have somebody like me, I like the sport aspect. I like doing tricks, but I'm like, ugh, you won't catch me doing musicality. And versus somebody else that wants to like use a lot more dance, 8 steps, and like really incorporate like a theme and like costuming, then that pole is available for them as well. So we offer a wide variety of classes that are also off the pole. So like we do have like a hula hoop class. That way it allows people to like movement in their hips, where a lot of people hold like emotions. But we also have like sometimes people want a private lesson and that may be more their route. And so we certainly offer that, but we also offer like courses that for 8 weeks, these same students will meet up and learn everything in the pole level 1 course. And then that way they get to practice with the same students. They get to like, it's a smaller class and maybe like a drop-in class. And they get the feedback of other students telling them how they're looking, and like also like the instructor and having somebody be able to spot them. But yeah, it just kind of depends like what their goals are, but we do try to offer a little something for everybody. But yeah, it's a brave step. So sometimes I tell people to try the hula hoop class first, or maybe like the twerk fitness
Mhm.
class or something to
Yeah.
like kind of ease into it, because another misconception is believing that they got to get in shape before they do the pole. And I've seen Olympic athletes come in and they have a hard time too. It's not so much in shape, because somebody that you may discount in a class be like they're not going to do very good. They actually do very well. Maybe they have the advantage of like having more body mass to be able to grip to the pole better, versus
Mhm.
somebody that's like got a itty bitty like string being, you know, body. It's just like
Yeah.
they don't have much skin. They don't have as much surface area to grip that pole, and like those are some things that like I've seen people that you on the street you would be like totally discount them, but they're like the strongest one.
You got to lead with that. I don't know how you advertise. You tell people that, hey, the skin you in might be the thing that gets you in. I get like I just because we're the largest country in the world, and all of us are not in our best shape. And some of us, I think, would feel empowered if we could hear you. You were able to describe that, and I don't think you offended any of us who are not as we were at the best shape we've ever been in. And
Yeah.
Natasha, we're gonna look over at that string bean over there with the 6-pack if we're all in the same class. And to ourselves, Natasha, we're saying 6-pack ain't helping you right now.
Yep.
with your little small contact patch. Uh-huh.
Right.
This whole ham hock over here is gripping.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of exercise or sports, you may like when I went to that hula class and it was obviously an intermediate, like I wanted to continue my hula career, but I was like, you know, it was like, wow, we sucked. Me and my friend went thinking it was a winner. So it is nice to have like little small wins and like going out of there and be like, okay, I didn't get 100% of that class, but man, I got the one move. I was able to climb up 3 times up the pole, or just being able to see like improvement over time, because like it ends up being a full body workout, and like, you know, you're still like, we have classes to work on the flexibility. You're not going to bulk up, but you're definitely utilize a lot of calories, like spinning around having fun.
I could see the need for flexibility. So how about this then? I went the opposite way of some of us that are not in the best shape as we used to have been, that, you know, our top physique that we've ever had. When it comes to the aesthetics that we are forced upon us on media, TV, magazines. But what if someone comes in and they're pretty fit? You know, they're pretty, maybe they've done some crossfitting, some bodybuilding. You said that you seem like an Olympic athlete. I bet some people could struggle because, as we say, they're a little too muscle bound. Or, yeah, you're good at bench pressing, squatting, but you got no wins in Mikasa when it comes to this. Like, you don't understand it. How do you keep those people focused? Because then it's kind of ego, right? It goes the opposite way.
Luckily, there's liquid chalk to help them grip, because sometimes somebody that muscular, like they will sweat more and like slip a lot more.
Yeah.
And then that's frustrating too when you're strong enough to do the move, but like your hands are like, shoop, and like you're just sliding down that pole like a cartoon character. Luckily, we have crash pads, crash mats for things like that too. But we also carry something called Dry Hands that I guess was originally a golf product, but somebody that, because when it came on the scene in pole, it changed everything. But somebody must have had a boyfriend or a spouse or somebody in the golfing world and figured out in the pole world, like, wait a minute, I could use this. Because it drastically changed the dynamics of the tricks when people could hold on. Because before, people would just try, like, I don't know, like rock climbing chalk, and that didn't really work. Sometimes spray adhesive, and that would be too much grip. So like this liquid chalk, like, is nice, still allows you to spin, but allows you to grip too. But it's like pole tricks right here.
I am so shocked, Natasha, because at first I was thinking, okay, bodybuilder dude walks in, he's using his chalk that he uses when he's powerlifting, deadlifting, you know? And then I think when I see those guys in the Olympics that do the pommel horse, they'll like use some kind of like chalk thing, and then they'll go and do that. But then you just broke my head when you said liquid.
Yeah, it's suspended like in something like alcohol or something, and like you just shake the bottle up and put it on. But here's a fun fact, like, so we're the emergency contact for Dry Hands when the University of Texas runs out of it for football games, because football players also use it. So we're, in case they're ever at a home game and they run out of Dry Hands, we're their emergency contact.
That is incredible. You got to lead with that too. Well, you do know that, well, you know how like we're the official sponsor of UT Athletics. Like in a pinch, they calling us. That's so cool. That is cool.
Oh, because
that is cool.
I'm like, yeah.
Did you guys seek them out? How'd that work out?
So when I started buying Dry Hands back in the day, UT was the only other customer in the Austin area. And so like they needed an emergency in case, like, because they buy so much, in case they ran out. So they needed to know where other Austin locations that also sold it. Now more and more pole studios are around, so I'm sure that dry hands is now more abundant in the Austin area. But back in the day, like, you know, when very many pole studios, wasn't very many places. Well, I guess there are plenty of places that you golf. I don't know, find it there.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, so that's how we ended up being their emergency contact.
I want to come back to kind of what you said there. I was going to get to this later, but you mentioned it at the time. Well, nobody trying to open a pole studio in Austin, right? Like that had to been a hard thing to try to convince people, right? Like, what was it hard to try to start here?
There wasn't a lot of pole videos. There wasn't a lot of media. There wasn't a lot of, like, you didn't really see it other than maybe a gentleman's club or like a gay bar.
Yes.
But and I left the Yellow Rose. I was like, well, I want to take the fun part with me, and so I ended up buying my own home pole, 2 of them. So at first I could just teach out of my house, and that was fine. But when it came time to like start looking for a public space, that's when it got tough. Nobody wanted to rent a pole dance studio because, like, when we started, we were the only second pole studio in Texas, and then we were one of the first 25 pole studios in the United States. So there wasn't a lot of them. So
Wow.
we looked and looked and looked. Nobody would rent to us. Nobody would sublet it to us until we ran into Lynn Reardon from Forbidden Fruit, which she's the second oldest female-owned toy store in the United States. But the first female, or the oldest, and toy store in Texas. And she's responsible for going all the way to the Supreme Court for fighting for our rights for having adult toys. So if you enjoy adult toys, you should spend money at the Forbidden Fruit, because she's the whole reason that we can legally own them in the state of Texas.
Wow.
But anyways, she's the first place that would allow us to teach. And so we tried out like one Sunday workshop a month, and it got really, really popular. She helped me buy my portable stages, because they were about like $500-$600, and that was like a big investment for a hobby. So she helped me buy those, and we started teaching the workshops, and then we started meeting up with various bands, and then would perform with them so that people could see pole dancing in the public without maybe potentially going to a gentleman's club. And we would have like cards afterwards and pass those out. And, you know, the workshops at Forbidden Fruit we kind of outgrew them. And at that point, we found the only bank in town that will give you a veteran loan, which is Horizon Bank. And they came out, they looked at our what we had in mind to get into a pole studio public space, but yeah, they helped us out to be able to move and get our first place off of Manor, our first place after a bank loan, but we had been in this other building off of South Congress, and then had to move really quickly to like an office building. So, and then finally over off of Manor Road. And then from there, now we're over off I-35 North Austin, by my favorite Ethiopian restaurant, Habisha. But yeah, it's been a journey, 17 years that I've had to fight against people not wanting a pole studio there, or even if we found a location, people like just getting insurance, like they would either not insure us because what we were doing, or they didn't mind what we were doing, they just hated the name, like Brass Ovaries. So that was kind of tough. But now 17 years later, after fighting and having, now there's like hundreds of pole studios, it's like, you know, it's slowly the stigma is like becoming like, hey, this can be a workout, this can also be something to like make rent on the weekend, or this could be something that like I'm just doing for myself or performing with a band. So it just kind of be anything. But yeah, when we were first starting out, it was tough to get into the Austin arena, even though it's Austin's really liberal, but yeah, people were really weird about pole dancing way back when.
Oh, I can imagine. I know for me, I don't think I've ever had a problem even thinking about it, but I don't rule the world. So even after you finally got to your, not even the location you're at now, did you have problems of, okay, I finally found a place, we're in a place, and now people are picketing, people are complaining that they're not even in the complex. Maybe your neighbors don't care, but other people walking past like, oh no, she didn't. What was the biggest blowback that you remember?
Um, Meeting people that haven't really been aware of pole as a sport or as something in the public sphere. So I'm in the, I'm a disabled vet, so I help out a lot of nonprofits with, getting veterans psychedelic help for PTSD, for like traumatic brain injury. And I'll meet other veterans at a retreat or somewhere, and they'll respect me as a woman because I'm a veteran. But then they see my pole dancing shirt and like they can't grasp like the idea that it's a sport, that like I'm an international pole judge, that I run a professional business. They're like, oh, your cute little hobby. Like I think I had a male neighbor that, oh, he was so exhausting to talk to because like it didn't matter that I traveled the world judging pole competitions or did all these like working with different networks or news story on us. Like just did not see it as an actual career. So that part's frustrating because like some people try to discount like all the effort that you've done or
Yeah,
you are doing. So
yeah, I could see that. Okay, Natasha, when we were leading up to this, I know there was a couple things I was thinking of, and you've made me feel really comfortable. So I'm just gonna shoot. There's a few questions I have, and you'll either laugh at me, you'll call me an idiot, which is fine. I told you on our pre-production, I'm not thin-skinned. If it is a dumb question, my dad said it's never a dumb question. The only dumb question is the one not asked. But how close would you say pole dancing is, pole fitness is to I don't even know what the name is. Like it's like Cirque du Soleil will have it, like the two ribbon sheer
oh,
thing.
so
I don't even know what it's called.
yeah, those aerial silks or aerial fabric.
Okay, yeah. How similar? Are there like some similarities there? Like, oh, if you're good at this, you might be good at that. Like, if you're good at skateboarding, you might be good at snowboarding. Are we
I would,
close?
oh gosh, I would have to say like aerial fabrics is way harder than pole, because it moves and like
Oh
it's
yeah.
that you're grabbing like so you get fabric burn.
Oh
It's like you have to wear full body clothing when you're doing fabric so that you don't like burn the crap out of your skin. And the whole time it's like moving. It's like, so in my mind, all the silks classes I've taken so hard. So mad respect to those artists that can do it. And then they have Lyra. It's like the metal hula hoop that hangs down. That's a little more similar. It still moves and it's a smaller diameter, but like some of the push pull that you would do in pole, you'd also do in Lyra. So that's a little more similar, but it does amp it up because it has the ability to spin. So you can get a lot more dizzy because it's like flaring around, whereas a pole, you're going to be like in one plane. But mad respect on anybody that takes up aerial. It's it's definitely hard, but it's achievable if you have the right atmosphere to learn in. That way, like we teach you like the basic steps, how to keep yourself safe if you're going to do it for a long term hobby. So because it does involve, all three of them involve a lot of shoulder work.
Yeah.
So you only have two shoulders and you don't want to mess them up.
Okay. So then you're leading me into just where I was going to go next. Are there any like recommendations of cross training? Like, oh, by the way, you probably should also start doing this since you're starting to get interest in or getting serious about it. Like, do you offer that to anybody? Like, well, maybe you could also start doing some body hardening, some different workouts. Is there anything like that that you do recommend to
I
some
would say
people?
bodies, which is also when you see the exercise, you're like, that looks simple, but then when you do 30 of them, it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. But
Yeah.
it's going back and helping like the core muscles, because sometimes students maybe try to muscle through a move versus building, having the building blocks and trying to turn upside down, and instead flinging themselves upside down versus like, having the core strength to be able to control going upside down. So Pilates, definitely like counter it with like a lot of flexibility, because the more flexible your body is, like, save you against like injuries that you might be doing on an aerial apparatus. And then also like not discounting body work. So if you like cold plunges, you like saunas, like that's all going to be good. Making sure that you take rest days. Because some people get really excited about their new hobby and they want to take 3 classes a day, and that may ruin their pole career for the rest of their, like, in a month and a half from overtraining. And then just staying hydrated, because we are in Texas, hot.
Okay, yeah, it is easy to overdo it. Um, I I feel like there are some windows here that a person that gets into pole fitness, pole dancing. What if I'm interested, but I've never been a dancer? I'm not fluid. What happens to those people? I mean, they're robotic. They say to themselves, "I don't have rhythm or body coordination. Like, I don't think my stuff's gonna look good, but I've always wanted to do it."
Oh,
How do you help them?
definitely like our pole 1 class. Like, so that's for the basic beginners that have never touched a pole before. I mean, some students may have a dance background. Myself, I did not. Hated ballet and tap because it got in the way of my Saturday morning cartoons when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
never liked it. But just the pole 1 class will be able to teach like the fundamentals of like some basic pole moves, like a couple of spins, prepping to climb the pole. At the end of the class, like the instructors work on combining those pole moves together. That way students have a chance to like practice. We have mirrors, definitely got like the instructor feedback, but making them do it on both sides, because they may be dominant on one side, but it surprises them that they actually pull better on the non-dominant side. But also to like, so you're not having one big ass arm and like one little skinny arm. So
Yeah.
and it helps protect you against like future injuries, like if you cross strain both sides. So there's certainly opportunity in that class to like, it's a smaller class, to like come and be with other people that are just beginning, or some people, like we have 5 new people in that same class, so everybody's starting off at the same level.
Natasha, anybody ever passed out? Like, in my mind, I'm trying to hold something and I done been upside down for about 45 seconds. All this blood rushing to my head. That's what I think.
Yes. Because we also parties, so it's like a group is coming to like celebrate. We tell them one last swing before the ring. We give them like fake money, little stripper name game, and allow them to roll around like dirty kitties on the floor and like pretend to make some money. But what we can't control is like those. Like Austin's one of the top 10 destinations for bachelorette parties. What you can't maybe those 10 people don't drink like horses, like on their days off, but you get them together. You put right
Oh,
there. You put like they've been tubing all day. So this one
yeah.
came in and she looked rough, and her whole group, like they were starting the pole class. Well, she was so hungover from whatever activity they had done previous days too that she was passed out face first on the floor. My service dog at the time, Amigo, was in class with me while I was teaching, and she left my side and she just went and laid on top of this chick. So I knew she was still breathing because I could see my dog up and down,
Yeah.
but I was just like, ooh, tequila.
Ah.
So she didn't pass out from the workout. She just passed out from too much bachelorette fun in Austin, Texas. And she slept the entire hour and a half. Her friends woke her up at the end. Hopefully they got her some breakfast. But I don't think she would have made the class in the first.
No, that's funny. You've dropped some nuggets on us here. Like, oh, I didn't know that. Huh? I didn't know that. Didn't know that. I did not know Austin was top 10 for bachelor parties. I didn't know that. Have never come across that. I get it, but did not know that. Okay, but we ain't gonna talk about Texas with this next one. You said that you get to travel around the world. Where are some of the most exotic places you've gone to judge? And you're like, you know what? This is kind of cool. I really like where I'm at. What are some places that made you think that?
Oh, getting to go to Estonia and then to Finland.
Oh, Ty Gavrish Paruski?
No, but they all thought I was from Russia because my name's Natasha, and I was like, actually picked my name because I think Boris and Natasha from Bullwinkle. They make big trouble for Moose and
Yeah.
So like when I got to Estonia, like I was the head judge of an aerial competition, and there were like Europe takes competition serious, so there were like 400 like 6 to 12-year-olds like there to kick ass, and they kept coming and they're like, so how many languages can you speak? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And
I live in America.
The aerial point system was written originally in Russian. Somebody used Google Translate to put it to English. So like when we were actually judging, there was like 5 or 6 judges that all knew Russian fluently, so they could read it to be like, yeah, that doesn't actually mean the same thing. So my Google Translate couldn't keep up. But I had a really good time in Estonia. I had an amazing time in Finland. I've never met people that disliked Russia more than we did during the Soviet Cold War, because while we were there judging last December, like Finland closed the border to Russia, and in the United States news, they were like, no big deal. This is just closing. It's no big deal. In Finland, they were like the entire country was ready to defend their homeland. They were like, oh, I wish Russia would. And it was like, oh, no, let me get out of this. But most of their population like does 2 years in the military. They have enough bunkers to put their entire population underground. They have a living. I could work at Burger King and make enough money to buy a house. I'm like, what the?
Wow.
Yeah. So I was just like, huh. I was like, man, this place is really cold, but they have saunas and radiant heat, and it's the happiest country in the world. And yeah, it's amazing. They don't have any homeless people. It's a society that really thinks about a group and the health of the group versus individualism. So I really like that. And the Burger King was delicious. It was not fake food that like what we get here.
Hold on, Natasha. Hold on. I think I caught you in something. I thought you said you don't do cold weather, and Estonia and Finland, Natasha, they cold.
Oh, they were. But here's the great thing is we're judging in a gymnasium, and I've judged in a gymnasium in Italy and froze. Oh my gosh. It was like, November, December in Italy, and they do not have the same heating capacity that Finland does. So Finland are heated, the walls are heated, so you get in, and it was like, wow, it's very comfortable. I can take my coat off, I can drench this without being like shiver, shiver, shiver. Like,
yeah.
I feel bad for like pole athletes. They're in tiny pieces of clothing, and it's freezing in there, and then they have to get on these poles, and like the colder it is, the more slippery it is. So people appreciated competing in Finland as well because they had the radiant heat. So even though it was super cold outside, cold plunge kind of cold, it was very comfortable in any of the buildings, transportation. So it was just like a small walk somewhere bundled up like a polar bear, and then ta-da, it's warm in here.
You just put on your travel agent hat. You got us all wanting to go to, well, I always wanted to go to Finland, but Finland and Estonia, because you did understood what I said. You understood what I said though. And for those who don't know, I asked her, do you speak Russian? And she understood it. You did understand it.
When I was in Bosnia, and then afterwards at the University of Texas, I took Bosnian, Serbian, and Croatian, so 3 different languages. They can understand one another, but it's very different. So I can still read and understand if they're talking slowly, but yeah, it would take me a hot minute if I was in Sarajevo right now to find some like really good food and coffee. But I mean, you'll learn it in necessity.
Yeah, you're right about that. I'm always envious of people who had the opportunity. There's a guy on my block who I speak Russian with when I run into him, and he was like, "Bruh, I haven't done this, and you have put more effort into learning Russian than I have." I was in a class, and they made me an exchange student, and I went and lived over in Russia for a year. And when you're immersed in something, you got it. And he's still living off of that to this day. And I'm envious of that. I'm putting in all this work. And this dude's like, bro, I was just living.
Yeah, exactly. So if you need to find a bathroom, you're going to figure out how to ask for that. So
that's exactly what he said. That's exactly what he said. He said, I had to get around. I had to go places.
Like very similar to Russian. So like when I worked around Russian soldiers, like I could catch maybe every 5th, 6th word. And it was just like, okay, I think I understand what they're doing or saying. But yeah, I guess it's just part of the Slavic block of languages. Like, so.
Yeah. I know when I run into to someone from, Belarusian and Russian, it's very close. Let me see. I'll run into someone that is Hungarian. Their names kind of have that Slavic. And you're like, oh, your name is Pavel. I'll just say this, Hungarov. And like, are you? He's like, nah, bro, I'm not. But our names are like theirs. I was like,
Yeah. So what's interesting is like the Hungarian language is very similar to the Finnish language, and of course, like when in Finland, like words are like freaking this long, and they're like, oh, you just pronounce every letter, and I'm like, oh man.
No.
But
thanks.
so but Hungarian is a very interesting language. Anytime I've heard it, I'm like it's so foreign sounding. It's like, but I do like Budapest.
Oh, I can imagine, man. I gotta get out. I gotta go more place. I've been to other countries. I've been to other places, but haven't gone to Finland yet. Haven't gone to Estonia yet. And I'm glad. You know, I always tell people there are certain places here in America. Nobody ever says, hey, I'm going to Finland for my holiday. No, first thing we think is what? The Caribbean. Then we think like Mexico, you know, and the beaches, the beach part of Mexico. So yeah, Americans, we don't go as many places as we probably should, but I'm going. Okay. Yeah. How about this? We talked a good amount about your studio and that sport. When you had a chance when you knew that you and I were going to come on, I'm sure there were a couple of things you're like, oh, I hope we get to talk about this, or I want to be able to drop this little nugget. Were there any items like that you wanted to talk about that we didn't cover yet? Like you were holding on to?
Like I said, one of the other nonprofits that I work for or work with is like Heroic Hearts Project. They send veterans and their spouses to ayahuasca retreats, either in Mexico or in Peru. And it helps with like PTSD, helps with traumatic brain injury, but it's like the second strongest psychedelic known to man. And I just went to Washington, D.C. to talk to Congress and be at a press release trying to get the FDA to approve MDMA for veterans, because like one of the things is like we have really high suicide rate. And, you know, ever since 9/11, like what, 150 or 500,000 veterans have like taken their own lives. So that's something near and dear to me, because like I definitely have traumatic brain injury, and then I have PTSD from the military experience, either like being in motorcycle wrecks. I fell 100 feet out of a helicopter. I like have dealt with like military sexual trauma. So it was something that like controlled a large part of my life and didn't allow me to like really thrive and live. In one of my head instructor, Odette, who works for the city of or Travis County, and she builds $1 million parks during the day, and then like by night teaches pole. But one of her sorority sisters works for Heroic Hearts, and she had gotten me in touch with them, and I applied for their program, and within 2 months I was in Peru. So like I've been in the VA system since 2006 trying to get help, and I felt like a lot of the things that the VA was offering was like actually making things worse. A lot of their medication is out of date. You know, they have to do their own research versus relying on university peer-reviewed research out there to see like the latest and greatest. So, you know, I got to the point in my life that I was like, wow, I guess this is just how it's always going to be. And like, you know, going in the jungle and completely surrendering and trying a drug that's been around for like over 10,000 years. Ayahuasca tastes horrible. You know, I ended up barking my brains out but it was the first time in my life that I felt like very noticeable changes, so that I could like thrive in my own world.
Yeah. Were you doing air assault at the helicopter incident? Was that what that was?
Yeah, we were doing air assault training, and my belay man tripped on my rope and yanked me right out of the helicopter. So I had no way to grab my rope. I fell 100 feet to the ground. I actually landed on top of him. So we both hit the ground. And of course, like instead of like, hey, I need medical attention, like my leaders were like, nah, just butch up, like climb back up in that helicopter, do it again.
You gotta be kidding.
Yeah, and now it's like now I have carpal tunnel on both hands, wrist, lower back strain, definitely traumatic brain injury from that. So yeah, when people are like, oh, I feel like joining the military to like pay for college, I'm like, no, you should finance instead and like finance your way through that. It's like less stress, less job danger.
Here's an alternative option you may have never considered. Okay.
Here's the Peace Corps.
We do a good job of getting local traffic through my social media and YouTube. But hey, to your point, some people travel in to Austin just for a wide variety of other reasons, bachelor parties, bachelorette. What could you tell people that would like to maybe follow, keep in touch with? Do you have some social media that we all can subscribe to? How do we keep tabs? I mean, first of all, Brad Ovaries is like the most amazing name, but how can we keep up?
Like we're most active on Instagram, but it's just Brass Ovaries, all one word. They can follow us there and see like what things that we're offering. we have classes Monday through Thursday, Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings. So there's a good amount of time that people could choose to like come investigate us. But after you take your first class, I know our student outreach person like Michaela usually reaches out to them and figures out ways to get them back in, what can fit their budget, how did they just want to do it once on their bucket list, but is it something that like they want to like make a long-term change, get back in shape, maybe they just want to get back in touch with like their body, maybe they've been disassociating and this is a way to like reconnect and ground themselves. So, but we have various ways to keep people engaged, either through private lessons, workshops, parties, if they want to come celebrate something, or just the drop-in classes.
Natasha, spasiba. Did you catch that? Do you remember? Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's thank you in Russian for those who didn't know, but thank you for this. I wish I could do some Bosnian Serbian. I'm sorry. I only got my thing. Yeah. but thank you very much. This was a lot of fun. And again, you dropped a few nuggets that we were like, hey, I didn't know that. So really looking forward to seeing what some of the reactions are going to be. Natasha, thank you for talking with Donato. Have a good rest of the evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Be on. But all right. And in Bosnian, you would say vala, like thank you.
Oh,
so vala.
Okay. Vala.
So a little bit vala. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to remember that. I promise you. I'll keep it. Thank you. Vala.
All right. Well, thank you. Bye.
See ya.